Here at Trade Tracer. In this video, I'm going to recap the market, get you prepared for this week, and look at some technical setups that I think are very interesting. So let's go ahead and get started here. As always, none of this is financial advice. Always trade and invest at your own risk. Also, be sure to click the link in the description to follow me on Twitter, where I can give you live updates and some stocks that I'm looking at. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. We got the SPY pulled up here on a weekly time frame. And the reason I started on the weekly time frame is to kind of get a bigger picture to see exactly what's happening in the market. This past month has been very volatile. It's been whippy, it's been up and down. And if you aren't managing your positions correctly with scales and stops, you could be getting torn up in this tape. So what am I seeing here on the weekly time frame? Well, the S&P is still holding trend. It's still holding above this cloud. But you can see we have lost the MACD. The MACD is actually bearish, which means we don't have much momentum anymore on the weekly time frame. Now, if we go ahead and look at tech, you guys know actually we were short tech in the investment portfolio last week, and we got rewarded for it. This week, we rolled back into industrials, so got out of that short position. However, you can see on the weekly time frame, we still are in a downtrend by my classification on the QQQ on the NASDAQ. Now, for a downtrend to occur, we need a candle to close inside of this cloud, and then the following candle to close below this candle's low. And we can see we still close below that. So technically, we are still in a downtrend on a weekly time frame on the NASDAQ, which is not a positive signal. We never closed back above that 10 SMA, so we never closed above the cloud, which kept us in this downtrend. So keep an open mind, guys. This MACD is gaining momentum to the downside, which means that we could see some more downside in tech. So if you're thinking about the short side, I would be thinking about shorting tech. If you're thinking about going long, I would go with what's leading, which has been the industrials, the Dow. All right, but before we get there, I want to wrap up with tech. So you can see we're still in a downtrend on the NASDAQ. All right, if we break below this week's low, or not this week, but 3 weeks ago of the March 1st week, this low 297.45, that would be price weakness confirmation, indicating that there are more sellers in this market. And don't be surprised if we come back and test the bottom of this cloud right around that 277, roughly another 20 points if we break this 297. So that's a very key level that I'm watching this week on the Qs on the NASDAQ. All right, so I said the Dow, the industrials are leading, and this is where primarily where we have our exposure in the investment portfolio, because in the investment portfolio, in the long-term account, you want to be trading and investing with what's leading the market, right? I love to be trading tech and long tech because we get these strong momentum moves like this where you can just stay in these trades. But when tech breaks down, guess what? We've got momentum on the downside as well. So it's a little boring right now to be in industrials. It's not necessarily where I would want to be placing my money, but this is what the market is giving us right now. All right, so we got to respect that. It's still holding the year to date anchored VWAP, still holding above the cloud, and the MACD is still moving higher. All right, so I'm still going to be focused on the industrials in the investment portfolio. Now, could tech get a rally this week and get back above some of these key levels? Absolutely. So that's going to be one thing that I'm watching. And I like to keep my eye on the Qs just because I like to trade tech, because tech has a lot of momentum. So when you can get into a good trade, when you can get a good entry, they can be very fruitful. So a few key levels here that I've pointed out and that I'm watching here. Obviously, this 297, this is price weakness confirmation. We don't want to see that happen. All right, and then we've got this 310 level. All right, so this 310 was very, very important on Friday. If we broke below this level, we would have been breaking the March 10th low, which basically is a 2-week, week and a half low. We tested it on Friday and wound up closing just below the 10 SMA and below this 314 level. All right, so you can see this 314 level is another price inflection point. You can see, prices came into this area very often. And then the same thing with this 316.52. This 316.52 is my key level. And what I mean by that is if we can get back above that and close above this 316.52, I will get long the NASDAQ, the QQQ, either with TQQ calls or NQ futures, or I might just buy the common. You also have the leverage on those as well. So it's completely up to you. But this 316.52, if we can get back above here, this is very positive because number one, we'd be back above the VWAP high. All right, so from the highs, this is the volume weighted average price. So we can get back above that, that'd be phenomenal. It's telling you that there's, the sellers are losing their control from this top up here. And then also we'd be back above this 316.50 level, which is a key inflection point, and above the 10-day moving average with a bullish MACD. So that would be very, very good, which would likely come and test this 321, the top of this cloud. And if we can get back above this 324.50, that is where I'm going to press long. And when I say press, I mean I'm going to load up. All right, and basically the reason that I'm using this level is because this is price strength confirmation on the upside, just like this is price weakness confirmation on the downside. So these are swing entries. So if you were looking to swing short the NASDAQ, which I'm not, this would be your swing short entry if you did miss this 310. All right, and same for the upside. Early swing long entry would be above this 316.52. And for a longer term swing long with higher odds, 324.50. All right, so those are your levels for the NASDAQ. The S&P, let's run through this real quick. On the daily time frame, we still have MACD in our favor, but we are within the cloud. We broke trend, and we're below this 389.91 level, which for me is the classification of the recent uptrend. So anything above this candle's high, boom, here we went into uptrend, got paid, scaled, put in your stops, and you get stopped out. All right, so simple trade. Want to see this back above this 10-day moving average. So I would like to see it really back above 392, call it. So anything above 392 will get me interested and probably long again the S&P. All right, now want to talk about the industrials because they're leading. You can see on Friday it held the cloud, but we did lose some steam on Friday. But this was a phenomenal trade for us and members. So when we closed with this candle on the 5th, this was a bullish reversal candle. You can see we closed above the cloud and bounced from this anchored VWAP. Anything above this candle's high 316.05 would confirm an uptrend. Took zero heat on this trade. We had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days getting paid on this every single day for 9 trading days. And then finally on Friday, we got a gap down, but still held the 10 SMA. So hopefully you took some profits, you put a stop in, and you're riding this trend out. So the Dow still looks really good, in my opinion, longer term. Now let's get into some cryptos. Bitcoin. All right, so this is a very important inflection point that we're at on Bitcoin. So I mentioned this to members. This 58,637 is the previous breakout level. You can see we tried to break out on the 12th, came back into this zone, and we've just been hanging out at the top of this cloud right around the previous all-time high. Now, one thing that I do see that is concerning here is this MACD. We don't have a ton of momentum for the upside. That's not necessarily a bearish thing. As long as this continues just to move sideways, that's great. That's consolidation. And then for a move higher, that'd be ideal. I would love to see this consolidate for a little while and then make another push. But if we look at the higher time frames like the weekly and the monthly, this is still in a huge primary uptrend. So I'm not looking to short Bitcoin or anything like that. Ideally, I'm just looking for my next entry. Right now, this isn't the greatest entry because we don't have a ton of momentum on our favor. The ideal scenario would be to kind of hang out between this 52,000 level and between this 58,000 level, kind of hang out in here, gather some momentum, and then make a thrust higher. That would be the ideal scenario for Bitcoin. Finally, let's wrap it up with some bonds. You guys know I've been talking about this bonds for a while now, and anything above this 139, I said we didn't want to see. We're seeing that. The market doesn't like it either, and it's really why the market's struggling because of rates. So if you're interested in learning more about that, in the past 2 videos, I've covered this in detail. Basically, I want to see this back above this 139. That would get back above the 10 SMA and a key price inflection point. But we're going to have some patience because yields continue to rise, and as yields rise, bond prices decrease. So that's detrimental currently in today's market environment. Typically, it's not. Typically, as bonds are going higher, equities are sinking and vice versa. But right now, with the yields, it's giving institutions another option, I guess, to place their money instead of just in equities and have that exposure in equities where they can get a guaranteed return. So keep an open mind. We got to keep a close eye on these bonds. All right, so just to wrap up real quick, guys. Once again, we're in no trend on the S&P. On the NASDAQ, technically we're in downtrend on the weekly time frame, and we closed in no trend on the daily time frame. Key levels I'm watching, 316.52, 310. All right, so those are the two levels. I'm not taking any trades on the NASDAQ until one of these levels gets breached. So there's 310. I might short it, maybe for a quick day trade above 316.52, and maybe I might wait for 317.88 Thursday's high, this candle's high, a little more patient, higher odds. That's probably where I'll go ahead and take a stab long for a target of 320, 321. We break above that, I'll be targeting 324. If we break above that, I'll be targeting these all-time highs. All right, so that's how I'm playing this, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some nuggets out of it. I'll see you on the open on Monday. Take care.